Check. That was my microphone check. Stay tuned for 5 minutes. Be right with you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another live chat. Thank you, guys, so much for tuning in for this. And I see you in the chat. You guys have been waiting faithfully. You guys have been showing up on time. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. I see Wyatt. Wyatt, thank you once again, man. You're always here. You've been the greatest supporter this channel's had late for these live streams. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Michael, good evening. Good evening. It's good to see you. Buck, it's a pleasure. Welcome back to another chat. And Hal, good evening. I got you, buddy. Good evening. Welcome back to another chat. Thank you so much for being here. Two things, right? The two simple rules I got is one, just try to interact somehow. That's like sending a message in chat saying, hey, how's it going? And it's like hitting the thumbs up, something like that. Sharing the video is always great. And number two, if you don't want to do any of that, you just want to hang out and kind of chill in the wings and just observe from afar, what I call stalker watch. That's cool. You guys are welcome to stalk. And I think there's a few people who do that, so it's all good. I think it's actually the majority of the viewers, and I'm glad you're here because that all helps the channel, so you don't have to do anything. You can do it all as much or as little as you like. I'm just glad you're here, so thank you guys. I think I have a good chat lined up. I got my trusty notes laid out, and before I jump into it, I, of course, want to give people a couple minutes to realize that it's live so I don't miss anybody, you know what I mean? So if you guys have any questions, it's actually really helpful if you guys put them on the chat, like here at the beginning of the live stream, so that way I can kind of work my way through them. And a few things are going to kind of come at, with these live streams, are going to kind of come at you kind of fast here because I get a pace about me. But if you have some questions, something on your mind, anything you want to ask about, now is a great time to throw it into the chat so that I can kind of steer toward it during the conversation. So good evening, Brock. I see you there. You said you made it. You made it tonight. Good, good. It's all right. It's no big deal if you miss a chat. It's no big deal. I'm always here for you, man. You can always catch up to it later, too. And, folks, if you're catching up to this video later, just fast forward about 5 or 10 minutes, and that's when I'll start the chat. Yeah, watch them the next day. It's no problem. YouTube saves these, and I'm going to keep them in the, whatever, saved list there so you guys can check it out later. You can come back and reference them as well. Whatever it is. So don't feel bad if you miss one. It's no big deal. And Wyatt, you're asking, is there much happening to Lewistown as far as fishing? I'm going to get into that, but the short answer is it's a little slow. So you'll notice there's not a whole lot of pictures, not a whole lot of action happening, but I guarantee there's one or two people out they were just crushing it, and they think that I'm crazy for saying that it's slow because they are just doing so good. I guarantee that's out there. But good evening. Thank you so much for coming in here. Big day. I had a lot of traveling today, so I'm still kind of like on overload. But I got some honey barbecue wings waiting for me when we get off. So I might trim the end of this just a little bit because I'm anticipating supper. But not to cut it short, though. So if we get into chat and stuff, I'm not going to cut out or anything. But thank you so much for being here. I see a couple of you coming in late. I'm Randall. It's good to see you. If we haven't met, I have a small charter. Mostly I'm running down at Lewistown, but I think most of you guys probably know that. But this is my first year of a charter is behind me, and this year ahead looks incredible. And if you haven't found me yet, it's randallrydes.com, and I'll show you guys that link in just a minute. And Buck, you say you're looking to add downriggers to the boat. Any suggestions? I'm looking to add manual downriggers, and you'll add used ones if you can find them. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of options with downriggers, right? I am a fan of manual, just because I believe less powered, less problems. It's kind of like electric windows in the car. You know that motor's going to burn up, but a crank, man, they just work for 100 years. So yeah, I'm a fan of manuals, so I think you're on the right track. I would say that I'm a little partial to Canon because I think that's a simple and very affordable downrigger. And I'm always looking for those two things, simple and very affordable. I don't mind doing some labor, but I need to keep it simple so this old mind can figure it out. And I like manual for the reason I just mentioned. So Canon, I think Canon makes some very simple and easy to understand manual downriggers. You should check them out. But if you've seen the videos on my boat, you know that's what I'm using. Can you guys hear it all? It all looks good. It sounds good. And Brock, you say the channel cats were biting last week. Up lake. Okay. That makes sense because we had that warm-up. So you're talking about before we had this cold front move through. So before that big snowstorm we had. Is that what you're talking about, Brock? So just before the storm, you were out fishing and catching them? Like, I don't think snow was on the ground when you were doing it. I don't think so. I wouldn't think so. Because the weather pushed through. That usually shuts them down for a little bit. But anyways, it's about 5 after. So I think what I'm going to do is with these live streams, I'm trying to start on the front end because I know people check in here to kind of get an idea of what's coming up for the week ahead. And so I think I'm going to start the beginning of these chats with a forecast, if you will. So I'm going to cover a little bit with weather and what I think that's going to be as far as comfortable for the fishermen, if you will. So we're not talking about the fish so much, but comfortable for the fishermen. And then I'll switch gears and talk about the fish. And then, of course, I'll wrap it all up together and tell you what I'd recommend, how you handle all that. Yeah, so Brock's saying earlier in the week. So just before the snow. That makes sense, huh? That makes sense. But I think since then, it's kind of declining. I think with these couple days in a row like this, it's just going to kind of shut down a little bit. So let's do this. I think I'm going to keep this really simple whenever I do these, when I'm talking about the weather and such. I think I'm just going to use weather.com for you because that's super simple and you guys can track it easy enough. So here we go. Weather.com. Two things that I'll point out here is, of course, there's showers. So we got Thursday and Friday here. We got some showers ahead, so that's something to be concerned with, especially on Thursday because it says 72% chance. But look at the weekend here for Friday and Saturday and Sunday is the wind. Wind is a major issue for me. I have to be thinking about the wind. And it's not because it's pushing the boat around so much, but it's because it amplifies all the weather. So comfort for you, man, if it's cutting you, if it's cutting through your clothes, whatever the weather is outside is in your clothes. So you got to protect your body. If you guys are going out, just be aware over the weekend, there's going to be a lot of wind. And on Friday specifically, there's a good chance of rain. And I think I'd probably suggest you avoid Thursday. So I'd skip over Thursday probably. And then look at the weekend here, but the wind is definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with. So keep it in mind. But that's just simple weather for you guys. And you guys can do that. You can use weather.com to just kind of get a snapshot, if you will. And I do it. I still use weather.com. I think it's fine. But that doesn't tell you anything that's going on with the fish cycle. But yeah. So let me look at that with you real quick. I think we can get into that. I'll tell you what I'll do before. So I'm going to kind of put a pin in it there. We're going to come right back to the fish thing. Before we do, I want to mention, I ran into a gentleman tonight that from a few years ago. I was out doing the Fishin' and Chillin' thing before Fishin' and Chillin' was a thing. So it was never an event. I was just doing it because I've done this for quite a while now. But that first time I was out and it got bitter cold and I'm camping out there at Nancy's and there was one other crazy group that was camped out also. And their names were Scott and Brian. Well, tonight, I haven't seen them since that day. I ran into Scott down at the Dollar General. And Scott, if you're out there, man, good evening. I told him I was going to do a live stream here in the evening, so I want to give him a little shout out. But my engine was failing. So I was going to end up having to rebuild my engine. But what I ended up doing is hopping on their boat, and we went out and we did some great fishing. Essentially, they salvaged that fishing trip for me. So it was incredible. I really appreciate them being there for it. Essentially, I would even say that they were there at the very first, before the conception of Fishin' and Chillin', before it was even conceived, they were there at the nucleus of it, where it was birthed. So it's really cool. Full circle. I ran into him today. And I mentioned to him about fishing and grilling. He checked his schedule, and he can't make fishing and grilling. But he did say we're going to start talking, and he's going to start trying to make it out to him and at least be talking with me and such. So it brought it up, made me think about fishing and grilling, so I want to talk about this. This is the counterpart to Fishin' and Chillin'. If you didn't make Fishin' and Chillin', don't feel bad. We got fishing and grilling coming up right in front of us. And I'm going to highlight the dates here for you. If I can, I can't. So right there, March 28th through the 31st. This is at Nancy's, and if you guys haven't been to Nancy's, it's easy enough to find on a map, but you need a boat to get there. If you cannot get a boat to get there, you're going to have to reach out to me, and I'll have to go out and tote you back and forth or something like that. But I have some other folks that are coming too. But if you want to come out and be a part of it, I'm doing the ride-along tickets. You guys can do that. I think it's really best if you just find a pal and you guys team up and you get on a boat and you come out and camp with us. But fishing and grilling is going to be March 28th and the 31st. Why those dates is it's right at the end of March, and that's the last free camping period. So you can stay at Nancy's with no charge. You just bring your camp and set up, do a lot of eating, a lot of fishing. But those last couple days of March are absolutely free. You come out, I'll be camped there as well, and we can hang out and talk. And, if I know where they're at, I'll tell you where they're at. You can follow me around and stuff. We'll make it a thing. So try to make plans for it. March 28th. March 28th, man. Now, there's a second event that's kind of in the wings being worked on. And, hey, Nick, I see you down there, man. Good evening. Prayers for Nick, guys. Prayers for Nick in the chat. Nick's dealing with some stuff that's kind of heavy, so prayers for Nick. So there's an event coming up. It's April 28th. I've mentioned April 28th a few times with you guys, and if that date is new to you, if you haven't heard me talk about it yet, we threw this out. You're welcome, buddy. We threw this out there as an idea to bring some veterans together, some patriots. So you don't have to be a veteran, but you got to be family or friend, But the idea is to build an event around veterans. And I didn't want to be the center of this, so I asked our good friend down at Rough and Ready Campground. His name is Zane. Zane said that he would make his campground available to us on April 28th. That's a Sunday for us to get together and just kind of hang out and do the barbecuing thing and just veterans get together. I don't know if we'll have cornhole or something like that, but it's a veterans thing. And I don't have a whole lot of details to it except for this. April 28th at Rough and Ready Campground. That's Zane Weaver's place. And if you're not familiar with it, it's also got a bait shop, as you see right here in the title of it. There's a bait shop there for you, too. So it's probably, in my opinion, the best bait shop around Lewistown Lake. So if you don't know where it's at, learn it. It's worth knowing. So it's real close to Shy Beaver. Real close, I really mean it's close. You could walk to the ramp from Zane's place, from Rough and Ready Campground. It's by car, it's about a 4-minute drive. Back Old Mountain Road. So it's really right there. They have a campground set up and such. So if you got a camper and you want to come up and camp for a couple weeks or something like that, he's set up there to receive you. He's got a ton of members on this. I'll just kind of shoot through a couple of them here. You'll see there's a bunch of people that you should be familiar with in the group already. And I'm just going to go across the ones that are here highlighted in the top row. But after the ones that are highlighted here, there are 988 others. So, Rough and Ready Campground, April 28th. It's a veterans event. I do not have a name for it. I do not have an event announcement put together for it yet. So I'm still working on that for everybody. We're still kind of putting it together. And if you have an idea for a cool name, shoot it to me. Send me a message, text it to me, Facebook message it to me, whatever you want to do. But yeah, April 28th. See if you can make it out to that one. Well, good evening, guys. If you haven't done the thumbs up yet, I'd appreciate if you would. And I think that I want to just slow down for a moment so I can give you guys a chance to ask me a question if you want to direct this chat at all. If you have any good questions for me, shoot them. Now's your chance. And then as soon as I'm done, I'm going to jump into the moon cycle and start talking about how the fish are going to respond. So you can plan over the next 1 or 2 weeks on how to attack Lewistown Lake. So what questions you have for me, guys? And Wyatt, I didn't forget about you, buddy. I'm coming back to it. I'm just waiting until we get into the fishing portion. Now, Buck, you did mention downriggers. I should throw this out there that not everybody's ready to full commit to a downrigger because it's a little bit higher of a skill set. I don't think it's anything y'all couldn't do, but I understand I was very intimidated to get involved with downriggers, but I do want to encourage you to do that. But if you're not quite ready to take the leap, I'm saying, don't look past using a dipsy diver kind of presentation. There's nothing wrong with dipsy divers or even just weight in front of your lures. You can pull umbrella rigs that are heavy and they'll get down deep. You can, I don't use dipsy divers. I use what's called slide divers. So you can check those out. Made by Dreamweaver is the name of them. So, but they're called slide divers. You can check them out. That's what I like to use. So all I'm saying is there's other options other than dipsies and more specifically other than downriggers. Let me actually bring it up here. Oh my goodness. Pop-ups mid. I'll catch you. Here we go. Dreamweaver lures. I'm going to bring it up for us. Now I might as well just talk about it here. So I brought it up from Fish USA. I was having trouble bringing it up. They kept on asking me to join a mailing list and stuff. So, but this is it here. I'll show you a couple pictures of it and such. But this is the slide diver, and you'll see that it's got this hook thing on the back. The fishing line actually runs all the way through there, and that's a light bite trigger. Essentially, it holds the line, and if a smaller fish pulls it, it gives its leverage so that it can trip the diver. And they call these slide divers because after you hook into a fish or after you disengage the diver, it will actually slide back to where the fish is. You can put a bead or a swivel or something to stop it back there, but the idea is whenever you net it, it's going to be back there with the fish. It just makes it a little easier to net. I find that it's much more, it's just easier. So whereas if you have a dipsy, your dipsy will be up here and you'll have like a 6-foot leader and then a fish. You have two moving parts that you kind of have to deal with when you bring fish in. I find the slide divers are just, they're a little bit more superior in my opinion because you can use them a little bit more, they're more flexible. You can use them in a lot more ways. Just my personal opinion, just what I'm thinking. So slide divers made by Dreamweaver is what I'm actually recommending. Well, yeah, Buck's saying he uses dipsy divers now. He has planer boards. He wants to give it a shot with the downriggers. I think that's really natural. Like, that's the progression, isn't it? Like, you get into the divers. Like, I'd use the tadpoles. Remember those? That Offshore Tackle makes those. It's just like a weighted little diver. It's got a little slide piece on it, but super simple. It's got the most simple of mechanism to it. It's basic. But a slide diver is kind of the next step, if you will, or a dipsy. And then after that, we tend to transition over to the downriggers. Downriggers are superior. It's hard to argue whether they're superior or not. I really just think they're superior in just about every way. So downriggers, yes, I think they are better, but the natural transition is to use dipsies too. So typically what I'm doing is I'm running some downriggers and I do some stack lines. You watch the video. And then I'll run some dipsies off the side as well. So I'm still using them. But the dipsies aren't as, they're not as accurate. Whereas they go deep and shallow and stuff as you're making turns or you change speed and such. But the downriggers, man, they're like precision trolling. They're exact. So the downriggers are just very sharp. Very good tool to have. Yeah. So Buck says he thinks with the downriggers he can zero in better at a certain depth and target the fish that he's marking on the fish finder. Yeah, exactly. Precisely. So how to use planer boards, Wyatt? You want to get some for striped bass? Okay. So you can use planer boards in a lot of different ways. I would say when you use the term planer board, I want to say it's a little bit different than a bait board. So planer boards, in my mind, when I hear planer boards, I'm usually thinking I'm pulling an artificial behind it. Whereas if you say bait board, now you're pulling live bait. And they are built a little bit differently. The biggest difference, I would say, is that planer boards are built to plane out. Like they're gonna pull hard. Whereas a bait board is typically a slower trolled board, and they'll disengage under less pressure. So there's two different kinds of boards to use, but essentially with planer boards, whether it's a planer board or a bait board, you want to send a couple out each side. Let's say you're sending 2 out on either side of the boat. So if I send 2 out on the boat, they're going to kind of plane out to the sides. I can't do it in the thing. So they're both going to plane out to the sides, right? And you're going to leave the back of the boat without any fishing lines in it. So what that does is whenever you hook one up, like say that you're outside on your, well, we'll say port side for you. So the outside on your port, if it disengages, what it'll do is it'll pull back and you'll bring the fish in straight in the rear of the boat. And what that does, it helps you to keep from getting tangled as you're making catches. And the same thing's true with lures, artificials, but as you go further away from the boat, traditionally your baits get shallower. So you change how you're actually pulling them behind the boards so that as they're further away from the boat, they also get shallower as you're trolling along. Whereas the ones that are close to the boat, you'll put like a Carolina rigs, you'll put a weight in front of it, and it'll actually anchor down below the boat or below the board deeper. So I think if I was trolling right now, live bait, I'd probably troll my deep ones at 30 feet. And then the next board out, I would troll it at 20 feet. And then the next board out, I would probably do weightless, essentially in the top like 2 or 3 feet of water. So that's the idea. As they get closer to the boat, they get deeper. And then, of course, if you want to really go deep, now we're talking about dipsies and downriggers and things like that. But planer boards, you can typically give a presentation for the most part with just a little weight in the line in front of it. If you're using lures, you might have to do a little bit more weight or a stronger bill. So like a bigger bill, a deeper diving lure. But you should be able to pull on boards down to about 30 feet. I think that sounds about right. After that, I think you want to switch over to using your divers, your dipsy divers or downriggers. So that's the power of using a planer board. It sends it way off to the side. It planes way out there. Keeps the boat away from the fish. So especially if the fish are like, they're skittish of the boat or something, you just want to send the lures out to the side so that they're not affected by the boat engine. A lot of that, I think, is just review. You probably understand a lot of that, or at least you have a hint. You have an idea. Let me do this. I want to bring up the moon chart for y'all. If you guys don't know, this is just timeanddate.com, and I go into the moon section. And I'm just scrolling down here to the 20th. So ahead of us, what we're looking at is on the 24th, we're going to have a full moon. So right here. And the full moon is going to go down at 7 in the morning. It's going to come back up at 6 in the evening. So I know it's it's a little crescent here, but make no mistake, this is a full moon here. Okay, you can see it over on the left here. See, it's full moon. So it's going to rise at around 6 o'clock, and we're going to have full moon through the night. So all night long, it's going to be full moon. So if you are interested in casting the bank on a full moon, that's the day you want to be looking for. And the 24th is Saturday. Now, I don't know if you remember this, so I'm going to bring up the 20th. So this is today, what's going on right now. And most of you guys have probably seen this. We have a full moon right now. Let me make this bigger for us. We currently have a bright moon right now, nice clear sky. and we're actually on the descent. So, the moon, where are we at here? I feel like the moon was up when I was coming home, though. We're in Huntingdon. So it rises at 2 in the morning, 1 a.m. So I guess it peaked at about 3 o'clock this afternoon. So I guess it's just tapering out. It's just on the way down. So yeah, it's been up. If you guys were outside at all today, you saw that the moon was in the sky most of the day. So it was kind of like you would want to focus on when the moon is highest. It would have been an evening kind of target, if you will. All right, let me bring it back so I can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to bring it right back to that in just a second. I just want to check you guys' chat. Check the chat here. John, good evening. Welcome to the chat, man. We're kind of into this. I'm going to start talking about the moon here. I kind of got a little bit sidestepped there with some diver talk. Downriggers and stuff. Let me bring that back up for us. So yeah, here we are. So at about, so this is the 20th. It peaked out around 9 or 10 o'clock this morning, and it's been descending through the evening. So now the moon is essentially going to be going to underfoot at this point. So overnight, we're going to have an underfoot moon. Now, if you guys remember in the last chat, I talked about the couple days leading up to the full moon. They're traditionally pretty good fishing days. So we're looking at the 21st, which is tomorrow, through the full moon on Saturday. That's going to be your window that I would recommend you go fishing. I think that I'm going to actually say, because of the water temperatures coming down, the air temperature and stuff, it's going to be making it like the fish are going to be less active. However, this is your window of opportunity. I would say tomorrow through Friday is your best chance. I would say it's your best chance. Doesn't mean you can't connect on them and such after the full moon. But I would say leading up to the full moon, traditionally this is your best chance. So let's say Friday, because Friday is, first off, maybe you guys have some time off. But Friday, I think, let me look at the weather again. Friday, we have this chance of rain. I wouldn't let that keep me from the lake. If you're thinking of going fishing, Friday is probably the better day, even over Saturday. And I think that's simply because of the full moon pushing in. Let's see where the full moon, let's see what it's saying. So it's going to come up in the morning. I'm thinking Saturday might be okay too. So Friday and Saturday, I would say. And I'm leaning a lot on the moon on this one because I don't think the air temperature is really helping. We are seeing a little bit of a warm up though, aren't we? Friday, oh, here we go. See 37 on Saturday. Yeah, I'm going to go back to Friday. I'm going to tell you Friday is the day. Friday is the day in my opinion. So the showers are in the morning. Who cares? We don't want the morning. We want the afternoon. They clear in the afternoon. The winds, though. The winds, this is real. So 10 to 20. So you're getting double-digit winds. That's something to be concerned with. But if you're going to go out, I think Friday's the day. And I think what we're looking at is Friday is the day to go. And I would suggest an afternoon trip. So if you don't make it to the water till 10 or 11 o'clock, even noon, that's okay. If you can only sneak out for an hour or so after work, I think you're still in good shape. But I think Friday is the day for it. Saturday, we're going to see a drop in temperature. As much as it would have been okay, I think that temperature is going to take hold of those fish. I think the temperature of the water is going to be hurting you there. So I think Friday is the day. So I think like today, yeah, I would say each day leading up to Friday gets better and better, but Friday is the day to shoot for. Does that make sense, guys? Hopefully it does make sense. It makes sense on this side of the screen. We'll keep an eye on it. The proof's in the pudding, right? You go out there and prove me wrong or prove me right, but go out there. That's the key. I hope you go out on a day I'm not recommending and you just slaughter them. Have you guys checked in? Have you guys started following the moon a little bit? Before I kind of just wrap this up here at the end, I've been trying to do shout outs, if you will. So I'm always like looking for other people to kind of shout out to. And so I'm going to bring up my pal, Airs Lures. That's right, Brian. So if you guys haven't sent Brian a message yet about his spoons or his crankbaits, you should. What you do when you go on his Facebook page here, go into the pictures here, and where are they? Oh, these are likes, photos. Here we go. So go into his Airs photos, and you can click on any of the photos of lures and stuff, and you can actually just ask about them. You can ask about colors and the shapes and sizes and stuff. And he is making spoons now too. And he's just an artist, guys. If you guys haven't checked out Brian's stuff, you really should. Very good. But good evening. Thank you guys for being here. So listen, I'm only going to taper this on for like another 5 or 10 minutes. Like I said, I'm kind of looking forward to them wings. I got supper waiting for me when I get off. So do you guys have any questions for me? I'll stay on for just like another 5 minutes or something like that. I want to recommend that you guys go out on Friday simply because you'll be missing most of the weather. You'll still have wind to contend with. So cover your skin. You know what else to say. Just cover your skin. The temperatures aren't going to be terrible, so you should be able to endure it. But I do think we're looking at, after the full moon, we're probably going to look at a few days after that where it's really going to be a hard shutdown. So we're going to have cold, and we're going to have that lasting effect of the full moon. It does have an impact, especially on clear days and nights like we have here. Clear nights. It doesn't do anything during the day. But don't be afraid of going fishing. Just dress like you're going snowmobiling and go. But thank you guys so much for tuning in for these live streams. You know, I was looking at the calendar and I was actually counting how many live streams that we've done and how many are left. And I want to say the numbers was something like we did like 13 of them and there's like 5 left. 5 left. So we're really on the downhill side of this. Maybe I'll do a countdown thing each time we do this, but I really think there's like 5 more live streams. I promised that I would maintain this right up to Fishin' and Grillin', and that's the event there in March, right at the end of March, and I've already shared this with you, but I'm going to show you again. But I'm going to be doing these live streams right up to this date. So this is the weekend, so the March 28th date is, I believe it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? So what I'm going to do is that week of the Tuesday just before, that'll be my last live stream, and I'll shut it down with that one. And honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to the break. It's always on my mind like through the week. I try to keep my notes set up so that I have something to talk about, and then I get a little bit antsy here when it comes around on Tuesdays, but don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed it, and I really am glad we did this, but these are the last couple live streams. And those of you who've been here through them all, you guys are awesome. Thank you. But yeah, I'll hang out for just a few more minutes yet. How? Go good. He's telling me to go enjoy my wings. That's good eats. Have a great evening. Enjoy your dinner. Thanks, Hal. I appreciate that. Yeah, they're... It's from a new place, but, well, you guys, if you're up in Lewistown at all, you probably know it. It's Big Daddy's. Big Daddy's. So, just trying them out there tonight. I got the honey barbecue. So I'm looking forward to finishing it. I won't lie, I snacked on them a little bit before I got on live stream. I hosed off the beard before getting on live, but I inspected them, we'll say. All right. So one simple thing to kind of tie this chat up is I talked about doing a rigs and rods video with you. I put that off until the next stream, and there's good reason for that. One, I'm just not prepared to do it. But again, rigs and rods, we'll finish up these last couple live streams with doing some tutorials on rigs and rods. I think we're a little far out to be jumping on that anyway. So maybe by learning it closer to the fishing season, you'll be able to retain it a little bit better if you're anything like me. So starting next week, next Tuesday at 8 p.m., like we have been all winter long, right up to fishing and chilling. I'm going to start doing rigs and rods at the beginning, or somewhat at the beginning. After that, like 5 or 10 minutes, and I'm just going to show you guys how to tie a rig and tell you what I'm thinking it will work best for, that you can use to apply whenever you go out on the water. Basic rigs. I'm not trying to do anything real flashy with you. Just going to try and maybe remind you of some basic rigs, things you should be using. Nice, Mike. Haircuts while listening to rides. I don't have to worry about it so much, so I respect it. Brock, I always look for about 53 degrees. 50 to 53 is fine, though. It happens fast, though. When you get temperatures like that, like it's like within a week or two, they're 60, unless you have a little cold snap, but it usually heats up really quick. But 53 is my magic number. All the bass species, it seems. All of them. How many bass species are there? That's a great question. That sounds like a question for Google. How many bass species are there? So there's black bass, largemouth, smallmouth. We're familiar with them. And there's the spot. That looks like a largemouth to me. Is that a spot? Oh, I think they're just showing random pictures. And there's one we're kind of familiar with. Look at that beast. See, I would have called that a hybrid striper just because of how big it is. Yellow bass. I'm not even familiar. Oh, okay. Bass that aren't bass. Okay. Peacock bass. Guys, I'm going to be spending some time in Florida. As soon as I get down to southern Florida, that's where you kind of got to go. I'm catching me a peacock bass, and I'm going to make it my thumbnail. What else we got in here? I'll just look at this. So how many are there? What do you guys think? How many bass species are there? I want to say there's like a dozen of them. I think there's like a dozen of them. And I'm not talking about weird bass like, ocean bass. I'm not talking about those or peacock bass. I'm talking about bass that you might confuse as largemouth or smallmouth bass. Brock, you say you lost a good fish on a shad last week. Yeah, I mean, if you're fishing with a shad, it's a good chance, man. It's a good chance. The one that got away. Hey, maybe it was a muskie, who knows? It could be all of that. It's always the one that got away that's the biggest. You ever realize that? Yeah. So I've gotten the habit, anytime we lose a fish, I'm like, it was a small one anyways. I could tell. That's what, and I laugh, right? Because if we lost a small one, it doesn't sting as much. So, Brock, it was a small one, man. Don't worry about it. Big ones eat big. They don't get big by not eating or missing their target. They get big because they know how to gulp down bait. You would have hooked him if he was big. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, check it out, guys. I'm going to say goodnight for the night, all right? you guys have been stopping in for these live streams. Thank you so much. It's awesome. If you haven't done it yet, do the thumbs up. And I'm going to go enjoy some wings, but thank you. I guess I don't have anything else to say other than that. So I'm going to say goodnight to you guys, but thank you guys for stopping in. And we'll catch up with you on the next one, just in a couple days, so it's not long. So have a great week. Tail end here. Great weekend. If you guys go out, be sure to post some pictures. And if you go out on full moon, and you fish and you catch, if you connect on the day I said you're probably not going to connect, post that picture and say, Randall, I proved you wrong. I want you to do that. So please do. I hear you, Brock. I'm sorry, man. That's part of fishing, I reckon, huh? All right, guys. Good night to you all. Thank you again for stopping in. Much love. Much respect. See you guys.